Hello Stampers, my name is Linda Bedinger and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Denver, Colorado, and this is my buddy Puccini. I decided to film this part of my video while he was still awake, because otherwise he goes to sleep and then I have to find stills to put in for him. Yes, this is my buddy who helps me in the craft room, Mr. Pretty Blue Eyes. And today I have a fun video making a card that's can be used for just about anything, birthday or anniversary, thinking of you. And it's using some of the newer stuff in Stampin' Up. I think you're gonna like it. So let's just get started. Okay, here is my card. Isn't that just the cutest little thing? I am really taken with this, and I was inspired by making this tag. I was contacted by a woman who was going to give a little gift for a gathering that she had for about 20 people of a little jar of honey, and she wanted a gift tag to go attached to the bottles. And so I fiddled around with it. So I took out my old Daisy stamp set and dies, and the most recent paper pumpkin that had the daisies and the bumblebees and the honeycombs and that kind of thing. And this is what I came up with, and I was so enamored with it I decided to make a card. So that's what I did, and this is the result of it. And it's got this on the inside and this on the outside. Now, what it takes to make this card, there's a lot of little parts and pieces. So we're starting with a Daffodil Delight card base, just a regular A2 card base. I didn't do anything fancy on this, just decided to keep it simple. And so this is 8.5 by 5.5, scored and folded at 4 1/4. And then I have 2 pieces of black that are 4 by 5 1/4, one for the outside and one for the inside. Then I have 2 pieces of basic white that are 3 3/4 by 5, again one for the inside and one for the outside. Now we're going to put a pattern on this one. Then you need, I used Mossy Meadow because that's the ink I used to make my background here. So you need a piece of Mossy Meadow to cut small leaves. This was just, this was part of a little tiny stamp set that we got. It was available, I think, as an adjunct to the paper pumpkin. That was this one. It's called Hugs Abloom Dies. And so it has hugs, and it has this little banner, this little flower, and these little leaves. Any old leaf that you have will work just fine. In fact, if you've got a punch that cuts out leaves, that's just as well. Now this bumblebee was in the stamp set for the paper pumpkin that had all of the parts and pieces in it, that had daisies, and this was the stamp set from that paper pumpkin. It said, "Miss you, let's celebrate, happy birthday to a wonderful friend." It had this sprig of flowers and leaves, this leaf, and that's kind of what I used here. And then in this one, the paper pumpkin that had the daisies, it had this stamp in there for a bumblebee, and I just thought he was so cute. And I fussy cut him out, and I didn't cut the legs completely out, and I didn't cut the antenna completely out. You can see there what I did. In fact, if I put this darker piece of paper, you can see exactly how I cut out that top, and again on the bottom. And so it wasn't too hard to do, and I did 20 or 40 of them and then put some ribbon around it. But we have lots of choices of things that we can use. We have some linen thread, we have, and any old set of flowers that you have in your stash that you particularly like will work just fine with this. So It's just a matter of finding the right combination of things out of your material to make this. And if you don't have a bumblebee, you can use a small butterfly. And we've had butterfly punches and dies and everything else all the time. So I'm sure someplace in your stash you've either got a butterfly, a dragonfly, or a bumblebee. So I'm just going to show you what else I did. So you need a piece of whatever your green is to cut out leaves, and I cut out, I think, 3 or 4 sets of them. And I stamped my bumblebees. Now I went ahead and fussy cut mine out ahead of time so it wouldn't be so tedious to have to wash me. And then I cut out these daisies, and I cut them out in yellow and or in white for the inside of the card and the outside of the card. Now these are the yellow ones. I have them in white, and that's what I'm going to use. And then I used our new banner dies. Boy, are those fun. This is the set of banner dies. Party banner dies is what it's called. And I used the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th and 7th smallest ones to make this kind of tag for the front of the card. And I cut the base out in black, and you need a piece of paper that's about 3.5 by 4.5 for this one. And for this little guy, you need one that's about 3.5 by 3. And that will get this cut out for you. And so I had the stamps, I've got the dies, I've got the leaves, I've got the centers for my daisies here, and I've got a couple of tags. This one I used a thank you. On this one, I've got one that's about 1.5 inch long by about 1/2 inch, and that holds just a note. Then I have one here that is You've Been on My Mind, and that one is about 7/8 by about 1 and a little bit more than 1 1/4, 1 and 3/8 maybe. And just stamp your sentiment and then trim to cut. Anything will work. All right, so that's what it takes to make this. And so I'm going to just go ahead and get started on this. Move some of these things out of the way while we're working. And I'm going to start on this piece of white here. And I'd like a piece of scratch paper. Let's see, I'm sure I've got one underneath here. Yes, I do. To do my stamping on, and I'm going to do that in Mossy Meadow for this background here. And then we're going to, I've already done my sentiments so that you wouldn't be so tedious, and I've done my my bumblebees. So I cut out these things, and we just have to add some freckles on the center, and I think we're ready to go. I'm going to take that leaf and put it on there, and then this leaf that I'm going to use as well. All right, so I've got my Mossy Meadow ink here. Oh, this stamp pad is kind of a mess, but it still works. All right, so here are my leaves. I'm going to do those in the Mossy Meadow in sort of a full strength pattern here. And then I'm going to use this leaf, and on that one I'm stamping off and then just doing a much lighter representation. There we go. That's plenty. All right. So this piece is now ready to go on one of my black pieces. So I'm going to use some snail on the back of this. And adhere that to my piece of black. And there we go. Now that is ready to go on my Daffodil Delight yellow piece. So I'm just going to add some snail to the back of this one. And put that centered on the front of this card. Next, I need my black banner, which I'm going to set right down in here. And we can see the stamping around it. Looks like a little bit of DSP, doesn't it? So making my own DSP in this case. And I just wanted something with a little pattern back there. And this I'm going to set more up towards the top than towards the bottom, only because I want my sentiment to go on the bottom. Then I have my tag that is the Daffodil Delight, which I'm going to set right here, centered on the black. All right, here are my daisies. And I'm going to put them up on dimensionals. There we go. All right, now I'm going to tuck in some leaves. There we go. All right, now I have these centers, and I cut these out of copper clay. I have a big center for that daisy, and then I have some little round centers for the smaller flowers. There we go. And one last one for this little daisy over here. All right, then I have my little bumblebee. I have some of the small dimensionals to go on that one. I'm going to set that one right down in here. I think he's so cute. All right. So then for sentiments, I have just a note, I think, on the front, and I'm going to put some dimensionals on the back of that. Put my just a note right down here. And then on the inside, I'll put this one. It says you've been on my mind. All right, now we're ready for the inside of the card. So for the inside of the card, I have my piece of black, to go on the inside. Okay, and then I have my 3 3/4 by 5 piece of white. And then I have some leaves and a flower and another bumblebee. And I think that'll make a nice decoration for the inside. I'm not adding any dimension on these inside decorations. And there we go. Very pretty. You know, I could put a little honeycomb up here. Let's see if I can find it. You've got a little bit of crushed curry and a little honeycomb, and that might be kind of a fun decoration to go up there. I think that's cute. Okay, so there we go. That is just about it. I need to put some bling on this. And on this one, I put a little piece of ribbon, and I know I've got some of this Mossy twine. I think I'm going to put a little piece of twine right up there. And there we go. It's pretty much finished. We've got a little bit of bling to add. On this card, I used some of these raised dots. But I think I'm going to try these adhesive back sequins, and I kind of like the look of these almost a little bit more, and I'm going to set a couple of those around on my project. There we go. Yeah, they show up a little bit better than these others do. And then I need to add my little freckles. And I'm doing it in the black marker. I did it with a black pen on here, and boy, you almost can't see them. So I think the marker is the better choice here, just to add a few little things to the inside of the flower. There we go. Well, let's see, and on the inside we had this "You've Been on My Mind," which I think I'm just going to add to the inside here in that yellow. Isn't that pretty? So there we have it. That is my project for the day. Thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel today. I do so appreciate it. And if you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, well, I'd love to be your demonstrator. Also, and I put a tag at the front of the video, I have on my blog, ingenuity.com, under Shop With Me, I have retired Stampin' Up! Stuff at extremely reasonable prices. And for the time being, I don't have any shipping charge on those. So it's definitely worth taking a look at. Last time I put up a video, several people took advantage of it and got some great deals. So let's see. That's it for me. I will be back soon with more cards, more projects, and more tips. Bye.